I brought some good coffee and put it in the break room. I cannot drink that crap the med students bring in." Melissa stared at her and put her hand on Lucy's closed fist. "Dr. Peterman, if I'm working, I can pretend that nothing happened. This is what I do. I work." Melissa withdrew her hand and watched Lucy slip her lab coat, like armor, onto her shoulders, effectively changing the subject. She nodded in the direction of the patient rooms. "Your student got a head start this morning." Lucy glanced over and saw Blake, her medical student, standing at the foot of a bed with his hands in his pockets and the door wide open. The woman before him clutched the neck of her gown, her legs exposed, her bare white knees pressed together. As Lucy approached, she heard the student say, "It looks like you only have a thin layer of skin and subcutaneous tissue available to work with. That's unfortunate." He shook his head disapprovingly. "This predisposes to the formation of a capsular contracture." With a tone of voice that made it sound like he was translating for a child, he went on to explain, "This can produce an unnaturally round breast." Then, as if to lighten the moment, he said, "Better than baggy boobs, though, right?" Then he winked at his patient. Lucy moved into the room, fueled by three things: memories of her own failings in the sensitivity department, powerlessness in the face of bad news, and furious anger. She yanked the privacy curtain closed, and as the ball bearings hissed into place, closing out the world, Lucy lost her righteous indignation at the situation and replaced it with empathy for the woman on the bed. She was able only to muster a scowl at the med student. To the woman in the backless, undignified gown, she said, "Hello, Mrs. Hallerman. How are you today?" Mrs. Hallerman was a slim brunette with poor freeze skin and eyes like large chocolate discs. She dropped her head into her hands, and as her shoulders shook, silent tears soaked her palms. Lucy put her hand on the woman's shoulder and handed her a tissue, but neither shushed her nor muttered that things would be fine. In Lucy's recent and very bitter experience, things were not always fine. Only 8 months ago, she had lost her husband and her unborn baby in a single afternoon. Lucy allowed a moment of silence for the woman's loss and another for her own. She pursed her lips and breathed through the memory of her husband's face on their wedding day, and then, horribly, right after the car accident that killed him. Lucy caught her student's eyes over the distraught woman's head. He looked away and glanced at his watch. After 45 minutes of reassurance and education in that small, curtained cubicle, Lucy and the student stepped into the hall. "You are not to get started without supervision, do you understand me?" "I'm a 4th-year student," he said. "I've done surgery. I came from orthopedics." He and Lucy looked at each other. She saw in his expression an unconcealed overestimation of his experience and an underestimation of hers. When he scratched his forehead, the shine of a manicured fingernail glittered in the fluorescent light. She motioned for him to follow her as she pushed her way into a small vacant office near the main desk. The door shushed shut. "Here's a news flash, pal. Reconstructing a woman's breast after surgery for cancer takes a little sensitivity. We're not doing celebrity makeovers here. It's not about swimsuit fittings or new breasts as high school graduation gifts. These women have cancer. Cancer in a very intimate place. A place that helped them feel beautiful for the proms, sexy on their honeymoons, and more than a little ready for infants. A woman would rather die of heart disease than get breast cancer, because getting breast cancer is like being stabbed in the heart. The very least we can do is use language they comprehend." "I understand," he said, as he glanced over Lucy's shoulder into the mirror on the opposite wall and fixed a lock of his hair. She eyed his lavender shirt and fancy shoes. "Tomorrow," she said, "you can quit with the fashion show. Women in this clinic just want good medicine, not medicine doled out by someone so concerned with his appearance that he can't even walk into a cancer unit without using an entire tube of hair gel."